Hey y'all, I'm back again with another video. It's such a beautiful day out. Really nice day. Hey y'all, it's such a beautiful day. So today I'm coming on. Shout out to my cousin Sade. She wanted me to make a part 2 about jealousy and envy. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. Jealousy and envy part 2. Also narcissism, because I think they go hand in hand. And like the more I get into dive deeper into my Bible, that's what it is. And then my grandfather was an ordained minister, and I remember like a little bit before he passed away, he was sitting down, he had his Bible, and he was just telling me like it's gonna be um he said it's gonna be a bloodbath. He said it's gonna be a war against good and evil. And I just remember him saying, like, I don't want to be here for that. I don't want to be here for that. And the war, honestly, has already started. Like, for real. The war is already going on. I could see it, especially now that God done lift that veil over my eyes and revealed certain things to me, and I could see clearly. It's like, yeah, the war has already begun. And I just been telling myself lately, like, I can't stay silent about my story because that's why God gave me the story. God gave his toughest battles to his, strongest soldiers. So, we are here to spread the good news about what God has done, the miracles he has performed on our life, to inspire other people to be able to know that God is good, God is righteous, God is almighty. All praises to the Most High. But yeah, to talk about the jealousy and envy, like, it's just been a thing the whole time. And I can honestly say, like, I never had a jealous heart. Like, I love to clap for people when I see them winning or doing good, success. And what makes you happy makes me happier. I don't have hate in my heart for people and stuff like that, especially over like material things. I mean, it ain't going with me. My treasure stored up in heaven. So all this, I mean, when you go down in that box, baby, ain't nothing going with you. Nothing. Nothing. Even your flesh leaving, your spirit gone. It's like, come on, man. Why would I care about something materialistic? And people get that confused too, because it's like, okay, yeah, of course, why we here on earth. I mean, we among the living, so of course people want, sometimes you want nice things or things that you desire, and it's okay to have that. It's just when you fall in love with the material things, because, I mean, it's not mandatory. We really here as servants and slaves to the Lord. So if he need to use us, whatever we trying to build in our own mind, be stripped away, because you got to go on a mission. It's like the army people, like when they call and say, hey, come on, yeah, I mean, it's a war going on, you got to come on, you getting drafted. That's kind of how I look at it, like how we is out here for the Lord, because at any moment he could want to use you for a purpose and a bigger plan. So when you get that in mind, and start humility. When you get that humility and know that you was not bigger than the program, and you here to be used, by the Lord. Who I would love to be used by the Lord. The Lord is the only person. I mean, we get used every day by people. So why not stand up for the Lord? The person that, controls life, death, hell, everything, heaven. So, why not stand up for that army? That's the army I'm in. All praises to the Most High. But yeah, but let me get back on topic, y'all. I was talking about the jealousy and envy. That's been going on since I was young. And it's like this crab in a bucket mentality, like, oh, if I see you do anything. And then it's so crazy because the jealousy and envy don't always be about material things. I mean, you could just be happy. A lot of people scared of your potential because they already saw it in you. The light shines, baby. They know, and they living in secret darkness. They don't know, and then they go hand in hand with narcissism because it's like woe to the wicked. You know, well, I mean, that's all the things that come along with narcissism. Is a lot of the stuff that the Lord despise, like pride, haughty eyes, you know, deception, deceiving. And a lot of people get it twisted because one of the 10 Commandments, murder, and biblical terms, is considered as hate, you know, and killing is a whole separate sin. So that's what people don't understand. You walking around with all that hate in your heart. The Lord called that murder. You know, that's one of the 10 Commandments. You know, because what I don't understand, and I know it's like a psychological problem going on up here, and a lot of people been turned to a reprobated man, because all in reality, everybody knows hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to disappear. You only making yourself sick by hating somebody. You know, love covers up a multitude of sins. You know, even, and then sometimes it takes time to forgive. Like betrayal is, you know, very hard. A very hard stone. So let me give y'all a story about jealousy and envy, right? And how crazy it works. So this is a family member of mine. You know, I live in another state. I'm originally from Chicago. So when I tell you, this family member used to call me every day. I was a manager at the time. I was managing over 40 drivers, so I was always busy. But you know, I always I ain't know myself, and I ain't know how narcissists suck people energy, and I just always felt pity for this person and stuff like that. And you know, covert narcissist is great at making you feel like that anyway. So I always try to just make sure I answer and stuff like that. But a lot of times I be annoyed and drained, because it's you call me every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. But me just being a nice person I am, soft-hearted, I just talk, try to, communicate. I just feel maybe he needs somebody to talk to. So we talk every day. Like, for the last time I went back to visit for almost a year, called me every day, couple of times a day, talked every day, always about, making plans to do things. And, he got a nice job. I was happy for him. He really liked cars, so he was buying a lot of cars, I was happy for him. So so finally let me get into it. So I end up going down to Chicago, back to Chicago to visit. It was Thanksgiving time. I don't celebrate holidays, but I just figured all the family will be around. So I went down to visit. Really to see my mom and my younger sister and my brother and stuff like that. And at that time, I was getting real good at cooking and stuff. So I had, I had made macaroni over at his house before, or whatever the case may be. So I was really tired. I was really tired that day, really, really tired. And I was my mom was like, you should just stay here if you don't feel like going out or whatever. But I'm like, I done traveled all the way from out of town, whatever. I'll go over here and make the macaroni. So, mind you, I had drove down there in the rental. I didn't have my own car at that time, but I had got a rental to come down there and stuff like that. So, I drove over there, whatever the case may be. Boom, made the macaroni. So people on my father's side of the family and stuff like that, everything was fine. So, later that night, that's when I had a real bad gambling addiction. So I was down there and, we was like, okay, let's go to the casino. So We get ready to go to the casino. And, I'm like, I drove down there in the rental. My license, was clean and stuff like that. But he wanted to drive, like, forceful, like a me getting in his car. Like, always needing control. Always want to be the one in control. Mind you, he had just caught a DWI. So license messed up, all that. So I'm thinking like, hey, I'm legit. I got this rental. Let's put some miles on it. I drive. Let's go to the casino. Didn't want to do that, so I was like, okay, forget it. I just get in the car with them. No point of driving out there in separate cars. I'm thinking, like, hey, if you want to drive, hey, I offered up. It is what it is. So I end up parking the rental over no, he ended up following me back to my mom's place, and I left my car, the rental, there in front of my mom's house because it was on the way to the casino. So yeah, I get in the car with them, get to the casino, made it all the way to the casino lot, and then we was drinking at the time, bro, like some put on for like some Remy or something like that. Drinking, alcohol involved, never a good time. But as I said before, he had got like a nice job and stuff, and he always liked the car, so he was buying a lot of cars. So we sitting in the car just talking before we go into the casino, and he say, if you want to buy my Cadillac, you could buy my Cadillac. And I said, no, who wants a Cadillac? I ain't say that. I said, I don't want no Cadillac. That's the R-Man type of car. Now, to all my ladies and guys out there, how many women you see driving a Cadillac? The old school pimp daddy Cadillacs. That's not a woman's car. So, it's never been a car that I liked it anyway. And too, let's put this in perspective. I told him this, like, when we was on the phone a couple of times. I've said this before, that I don't want no Cadillac. The man turned around and told me, you jealous of me. Your whole family jealous of me. Mind you, he's my family on my father's side. So we get to going back and forth. He tell me, mind you, I should have drove my own car. He get me all the way out to the casino. And then tells me, you could stay here. You could stay here. You stay here. So I'm like, no, I have my own vehicle and I offered to drive. You're not just gonna leave me out here. So we turn around and go back as he driving me back. We still having like a back and forth and all that. Or whatever the case, just going off. And I was telling the truth. And when I think of covert narcissist, like he had somebody in the car with me and I was just giving all truth, and that made him like so enraged. Like, and then the rage came out and stuff like that. And he ended up snatching me out the car and throwing me on the expressway. On Thanksgiving Day, y'all. After I spent all my money, came down there to visit my family, have a good time, I ended up on the expressway, intoxicated, could have lost my life. Could have lost my life that quick. Just that quick. And then I had been out here in Minnesota, peaceful, really don't mess with nobody. I don't even have arguments, so it was just all crazy. And then he ran and like spent the narrative that I was crazy and I was just raging and I was out of control, and just spent the narrative to everybody to get everybody like on his side and stuff like that. And when that happened, I was so enraged, I was hurt. Because at the same time, I'm like, man, this person called me every day. I answer the phone when I want to, just like draining all my energy just to get me come down here and visit, and for him to tell me I'm jealous of him and throw me on the expressway like a dog, like I wasn't nothing. Screaming to me, he was like, you ugly, you always been ugly. And mind you, this is a male cousin. I'm a female. And then it's like, Well, it was like all that built up anger, like just came out. Like I mean, it was like I was plotted on, almost. And almost every time I like went back home to visit and stuff like that, I always felt like I was attacked. Like, I'm viewed as an outcast, maybe because I moved away. I'm the only person that moved away and stuff like that. And I just don't know, but that's how narcissism work. And then they flip the script on you like you the crazy one, you the jealous one, you the hateful one. And I promise y'all, I ain't got no hate in my heart. No hate in my heart. And then that, to keep going with the story, I jumped off track. It set off like a ripple effect because I did have a bad drinking problem at the time, so I won't minimize that at all. I used to drink a lot, and I was drunk, and then I ended up calling my mom to come pick me up. And then I was like distraught. I had just been thrown on the expressway. Like I could have lost my life. Like over nothing. Like over nothing. So that ended up getting me, I just felt like my mom wasn't like there. Like I'm trying to explain to you, hey, this man almost killed me. Like, and then I just felt like she was shrugging it off, and that made me more upset on top of being intoxicated. So I get to arguing with, my mom and my brother and sister and stuff like that. Long story short, I end up out at a gas station. That's what I forgot to say. My keys and stuff was still, when I got through from the car, my coat was still in his car. So the keys to the rental, everything I had, my phone, everything was just in his possession. Then I ended up getting put out my mom's house, stood at a gas station in Chicago, because it was like Harvey, like right on the skirts of not Harvey, but it was like right on the skirts of Indiana. There was a lot of traffic at that gas station. I just stood there all night and cried. And when I finally got to get my mom to get my keys and all this stuff like that, man, I just jumped on the road and I just shot back to Minnesota. I just shot back here, where I felt safe. And then I like rolled back in the middle of the night, for just driving. I did not stop nothing. I didn't stop one time. I just kept driving till I made it back home. Ran to my house and locked the door. But yeah, you gotta be careful. That was just me being naive. I should have just followed my mind and never even went over there, because I know what type of person this is. Like cars is like a obsession of his. Like, I don't care about material things. Like, why? I don't care what car you got. I don't care. I congratulated you. How many you want me to get on my knees and worship you over a car? Only person I worship is Christ. All praises to the Most High. That's it. So yeah, that's the story. That's my part two of jealousy and envy. Y'all be careful out here, cause the closest get the mostest, for real. The closest get the mostest. And that was the last time I been in Chicago. That was about like, what year was that when that happened? It's 2025. I believe it was 2023 or 22. I forgot, but he ain't been back to Chicago ever since. And to be honest with you, I don't know when I'm coming back. I just don't feel safe there. So y'all stay blessed out there.